Hello, everybody. It's Tosan from Rugby here, prop and author of Brain Surgery for Dummies, here with.
Grant Cole, I'm the rugby evangelist with This is Texas Rugby. I cover all the rugby out of Texas and then even some more here on the Propcast with my buddy Tosan.
Hey, good to have you today. Also, do me a favor when you guys get a chance when you see this, head over to America's Rugby News Facebook page. We're going to be referencing and talking about the rosters for today's game. We're doing, this is a pregame show for the second leg of the World Cup qualifier, USA versus Canada down in San Diego, sunny Southern California. I look forward to discussing some of that a little bit later. Make sure you guys go over there and check that out. We have the head-to-head matchups and the reserves over there. So go check them out.
A lot of work put in by Ted Hardy, Brian Ray, and Paul Tate over at America's Rugby News. Those guys do a whole lot of stuff, keep us informed of all the news on North America, South America rugby. Good stuff out of them. Great stuff, Brian and Ted. I know you guys did a lot of work putting this together.
Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I think the first thing that we want to kick off here, let's get it right. Let's get right into the rosters. Let's talk about. We know what we're getting into. This is a pregame show. It's a pregame show for the World Cup qualifiers 2019. We have it on good authority. There's some money on the line. So let's get in there and let's really get into the meat of this. I mean, they tied last game. This couldn't be for more of everything. Right here. This is knockout. This is knockout rugby here.
This is knockout rugby, and USA hasn't won America's won yet. So if we win today, this is going to be a milestone for them.
So I'm thinking that's something that hopefully, people are seeing this. We're going to get behind this as fans, but I hope the boys are really feeling that. I'm sure they are. Some of these are professional men. They know what's at stake here. The momentum, and this is also the momentum in the community, understanding that, look, we need to have something we hang our hats on. Mitchell's outgoing, Todd Clever's outgoing. We're going to go into a period of change. Let's go into that period of change on a high. It's a much different situation than we have this mountain to climb in front of us with that point, and then now we've been thrown into some manner of uncertainty.
And let's go into it with a high about beating our neighbors to the north who have the numerical win advantage over us right now in the overall series between Canada and the USA.
Exactly, and from that standpoint, understanding that we're behind largely because it's of our own making. We're not the underdogs here. We need to actually come in with a sense of a chip on our shoulder that we back the way we play. Let's play like we believe in what we're going to do here. We're supposed to win. You have to go to the game. You're supposed to win. Yeah.
Talking about that chip on the shoulders, let's start off with the forwards, and you tell us about the forwards, Tosan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what we're looking at here, some tasty matchups. We're looking at, let's start with the front row. We have Anthony Papura and Justice Sears-Drew. So this is going to be an interesting setup because two loose heads. The Justice really makes his game out in the loose a bit more, but at scrum time definitely quite solid. And now Tony, he's had a bit of trouble up front. I think that this is a chance for him to really get settled. I mean, these are big guys. These are the big boys of our forward. So I expect them to, with big shoulders come big responsibility. It's all going to start up front with them. I think he's going to come in. Tony's going to come in with his mind right, and he's going to compete. That's going to happen. He has to. I think it's very, very important, and he knows the U.S. needs him to. I think that's going to be very, very important to Justice. He's going to play his normal game. He plays with the Glasgow Warriors out in the UK. He's going to do his job as a prop. He's generally, to me, he's a good, solid, young prop. But at 23, he has 29 caps. So that tells you what we're dealing with here. This isn't some kid who just showed up off the street. This kid can play. So comparing him head-to-head with our loose head, we have to make sure that we understand that what we're looking at. Okay, youth versus experience, right? Youth and experience. Okay, that's a different situation, right? So now we move on to the hookers. Hildebrand is actually he's been one of the more productive players for us in the grand scheme of what's been going on, especially line out time, throws in that type of thing, plays in the loose, fair enough. But he's going up against Ray Barkwill. Ray Barkwill is kind of like the talismanic player of the forwards. We know what we're going to get with him. He's going to compete. 41 caps. 41, right? We're talking that's heavyweight stuff against not an inexperienced prop in James Hildebrand.
No.
Not in the least.
And one thing about Barkwell is, that 36 with 41 caps, there's not a whole lot of hookers in Test rugby out there that have 41 caps, especially not in Tier 2.
Fair enough. Exactly. And I think that's very, very important to note. Once again, they've brought out some folks. If we look at this and the rest of the roster, Canada's brought out some guys that know what's up.
Yeah.
And they once again, the expectation to win because of that level of experience is there. We talk about the tight heads. The rocks of the scrum. So we have Jake Ilnicki. And I'm probably butchering the man's name. Apologies in advance.
Ilnicki is right.
But oh wow, I got it. The playing with Northampton Saints. That's serious stuff. That's a serious outfit. That's big. That's big time professional rugby. He's in that system. At 25 and has 20 caps. This man can scrum. This man can play. He will play. And now another man who can play and play well is Chris Bauman. Now, at that scrum time, we're able to keep from going backwards. And he's able to compete up front and get some work done in the loose. I think we'll get what we need out of our front row. I'm looking for Chris Bauman to have a day in the front row. And I think that the other two players will feed off of his ability to do that. Extremely important. Because right now we're looking at, in terms of the professional balance, it tips towards Canada. But there's one pitch, one ball, and 6 guys. You guys just have to sort it out. Who's going to win? And that's really what they have to focus on there. Now going to my locks, Nate Brakely and Nick Civetta. Now the locks actually have been for the U.S. have been a very welcome thing for me to watch. I love it. We have good, strong young locks, active. And Nate Brakely from Nyack, pretty well experienced to be 27 years old. Nick Civetta playing with the Newcastle Falcons, pretty good outfit there. This is a strong player. We should expect something out of that there. But now we look over, not too much difference in overall number of caps. I mean, we have 15 and 9, 11 and 7. But we have the captain. So that's Brett Bukaboom.
There you go.
And playing Cornish Pirates, and Evan Olmstead, also from the Newcastle Falcons.
Yeah,
good.
So Civetta and Olmstead are not strangers to each other at all.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of Test rugby is you get to see some of this competition. These guys know each other. They practice together. They knock around together. Now they get to knock around against each other where it counts for something. And this is for all the marbles. We're talking the America's 1 seed. It means something. Now we get into some of the more sentimental aspect of things, but that doesn't change the job that needs to be done. We're talking about our breakaways, our flanks in 8. Todd Clever. Is he going to go out with a bang? That's the question.
And I think so. I think he wants to, and he really has to. That's really the key here.
We need him to be Captain America.
Yeah, it's what we need, and he knows that. He's in his hometown. It's his day. He's got to be there.
Yeah, I remember when he scored, when he had the hat trick against Brazil, and how he took over that game. And there's sometimes there's criticism. He's not a true 7. He's not a true 6. He's not this. He's not that. I don't give a damn what he needs to be. He needs to be a rugby player.
That's right.
And he's got to be that today, or tomorrow, or today. So that's what we need. He knows in his 75 caps, he knows what's needed. He's the man on the pitch, maybe less a couple of other people that he, some people he has literally 10 times the number of caps of what needs to get done. And he's done it. He's done it in South Africa. He's done it in Italy. He's done it in Europe. He's done it in the red, white, and blue jersey. So if anybody's going to get that day, he's going to get it today.
Sedjanovic had a great game last game,
mm-hmm.
and he was particularly troublesome for us at the breakdown.
Yes.
So that's a good matchup there between Clever the experienced guy with 75 caps and Stefanovic with the 27-year-old with 9 caps.
Correct. And now, and also give him, and it's just to touch on that specifically, because he had a fantastic game for their forwards. And we'll talk more about the keys to winning later. We have to neutralize that. We are too easy to turn over at breakdowns. Far too easy. And that's a continuity thing. Working in waves, anticipating timing, the ball carrier contact sequence is happening with the ball still in hand before contact. That type of situation. But we'll get more than that. So now also, but then we can move on to Tony Lamborn, right? So plenty of Southern Hemisphere experience, 9 caps, young guy, 25 years old, with the 7 jersey. He's covering the pitch. So we're going to see what type of work we get out of him. If he has a good day, we will have a good day.
With those 9 caps of Lamborn, they don't actually explain how many caps he really does have, because as a Super Rugby player, where he was playing on arguably the 4th or 5th string All Blacks team, and you really have to bring your game up in order to stay there.
Exactly. I mean, this man has been competing at the level that develops players for the highest stage that rugby has. Against
poor Matt Heaton, he's in the championship 3 division at Darlington Mountain Park.
It's just it's different rugby.
Yeah.
We're talking Northern Hemisphere rugby and stuff. It's just different.
Yeah.
We're looking at more Southern Hemisphere weather for what's going on north. So that might come into the team, some dry pitch underfoot, that type of deal. Dry pitch rugby, that's always great to watch. Now we got to talk about our guy, Cam Dolan, a gamer. This man's a gamer. Always has been. I've been watching him a long time. Love him to death. 6'6". Like, you can't miss him. But he is not just because of his height, because he impacts the game. And I like the 8 jersey on. It looks good on him.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for him to have a game.
He excels there.
Exactly. Sweet hands, Good with ball in hand runs, opportunistic.
And we should. Tyler Ardren are no stranger to each other.
Surely not. Cardiff Blues and the Ospreys out there. I mean, hey, right down the street.
Yep,
right down the street from each other out there in Wales. And I mean, hey, Cardiff Blues not a bad club, not a bad club at all.
And Wales is about the size of Houston, right?
It might have more sheep.
It definitely has more sheep.
Oh man, I know it's like. So that's 1 through 8 for us.
Moving on to the back line, Nate Augsburger comes in at 9, and there's been a lot of people calling for Sean Davies to actually do the starter. I don't know why Mitch doesn't start Davies. I don't really care. What I care is that our 9 delivers ball to the fly half and delivers it clean. And he's going up against Gordon McCrory. McCrory has 29 caps at 29 years old. This guy's been around the block, but he's playing with UBCOB Ravens. So he's playing in a tough division, as far as, club competition goes, whereas Nate Augsburger's playing with Oak Blue. He's playing in a tough division too, but they don't get near as many games as McCrory gets. The thing I like about this matchup is that Phil Mack is off at his brother's wedding this weekend, and I'm just glad this is really the only change in the Canada's lineup is that Phil Mack is out and Gordon McCrory's in, and I love seeing that because Phil Mack, don't get me wrong, he's a very good player, but he is a French soccer player when it comes to being a bad actor on the field.
Yeah.
Poor James Hildebrandt knows that for sure, because it should never have been a yellow card on James Hildebrandt. That was just,
he played it up.
Well, Phil Mack saw that coming in, and he ducked into it and put his head right into the shoulder and then fell down. He made that happen. That wasn't a yellow card that should have been given. The yellow card should have gone to Matt, not to Hildebrandt.
They should have left Hildebrandt alone and then given him an Oscar.
Moving on to fly half, AJ McGinney versus Shane O'Leary. They're both players at the top of their game. AJ's with the Cell Sharks. O'Leary's with Cognac. And they're about the same size. McGinty, he's definitely got he's got a lot more caps than O'Leary, 14-3 there. But they're really evenly matched up there. But the thing I like about McGinty is when he puts that boot on the ball, he's pretty sure with it. If we can pressure their back three, if McGinty can learn to pressure their back three and actually get our wings to come up and put those guys under pressure, I think we can have a good game there.
Agreed.
Moving on to our wings, Ryan Mathias out of Old Blue is going to match up against Andrew Coe from the UBC Thunderbirds at 14. And, these guys are pretty well, they're evenly matched. They're the same size as each other. They've got about the same caps. Mathias is a little older. He's got a few more years in the game. Mm-hmm. At center at 12, Marcel Brocky and Connor Braid. Man, Brocky may only have 4 caps to his name, but this guy's been in Super Rugby for a while, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I like about Brocky is that he knows how to offload and he looks for it all the time.
The ball stays alive.
Yeah, and that's what put Nick Civetto away with that one try. Is Brocky came up, he got under the ball for the restart. When he got tackled, he was looking for the offload. He wasn't just looking to go to the ruck. Civetto's right there on his hip. Boom, it's try time. That's what you want to look for. Connor Braid is a tough man, though. Playing for the Worcester Warriors, that's not a slop side there. You're always got to bring your game plan when you play against Worcester. And Braid is a no-brainer at center. Anscombe definitely made a good pick here. Going into 13, Bryce Campbell definitely does not have the advantage over DTH Vandermerve. We would like to have a more experienced 13 up against Vandermerve, but we don't. So you've got a guy from the Glendale Raptors, fresh out of college, going up against a guy who's been playing for the Scarlets for a while. 8 caps versus 44, 9 years in age difference. Not the Bryce Campbell's got a weight advantage, but he doesn't tackle. He doesn't break tackles like Vandermerve does.
Right.
But hopefully he learns something from last week and gets it done.
And one thing about Bryce, I'd like to see him getting going forward.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the whole thing. I think that one thing that that our breakdowns our problems have caused us is, but as the ball moves out wide, really Brake and Aj really can only kick, because it's just there is no go forward outside of 12 at that point.
Or they can exploit those half gaps as they can.
Exactly.
Get on that outside shoulder of those half gaps. Mm-hmm. Bryce Campbell coming up right on their hips, easy offload. We're down the road. You got Teo coming up on the side, Mathias. Those guys can put it away if they're in the clear. Mm-hmm. So speaking of Teo's coming up at 14. He's going up against one of the people I despise on the Canadian side, and that's Taylor Paris. Paris is playing at Agen in France. Teo's playing for Belmont Shore for the Sevens team. I honestly, while they both have, Paris has got about 7 more caps than Teo has, but Teo's got a whole lot of 7 experience. Paris does too, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. He's got a whole lot of 7 experience. So this is an even match, but I got to give it to Teo on the attack, but Paris has got a great defense. So this is an even match, but I think Teo's got a little bit more, and we need that. Now going into the next one, Madison Hughes, we're coming in at 15. And if people want to know why is that, why did we take Sema out? I don't know why we took Sema out, but I know why Hughes is in there, because Hughes can tackle.
Yes.
He can tackle. He gets around the backfield fine. He kicks fine. He handles fine. He can do the job. He may not have been doing it for a long time at 15s, but you can look at his 7s play, and he knows how to do that back in the sweeper position, and he can do it here. Kieran Hearn is a 56 caps, man.
Talismanic.
And he's a big man. He's a big man for a fullback. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, we won't have to see Hughes go up against him in the defense that much. Hopefully, Hearn can get stopped there by Bryce Campbell or one of the flankers coming around. So that's it for the back line. What do we got for the reserves for USA?
For the USA reserves, we have actually we have some firepower with I imagine David Tamalau will be coming in to support our flanks. Great with ball in hand. As we see him continue to develop, he has 8 caps. He is one of those folks that can make an impact. John Quill, also an impactful flanker when we need to raise the game. Actually, all 3 of our flankers on the reserve flankers or breakaways are impactful players. With Andrew Duratalo, not to say last but not least, right? But this man, he's done it. He's played Super Rugby. He's done it in sevens. He's done it with the red, white, and blue. He knows what's going to be needed when we get on the pitch.
One thing to note about Quill is this is not a man who likes to sit on the bench. So if he starts off at the substitute, when he comes on, he plans to make an impact out there.
So we should expect if and when substitutions are made that the game's going to lift. Yes. At the very and that might be one of those things that maybe that's why we are seeing the selection that we have, that we can accelerate. If Canada raises a level, we can then raise the level to meet it, yes. Which is going to be very important. Of course, at 9, Sean Davey, back reserve, Will Maggi. I think those are two of the people that actually play together as teammates, so them themselves have a strong connection. So I think that we have options there and how that's going to look. Ben Tarr and Joe Taufete. And Joe Taufete, to say a word about him, is another thing. When you bring him on the pitch, the game should lift. Yes. He is actually one of the better open field front row that we have.
And Joe loves to snipe the post. If you don't post up or pillar up on that breakdown,
he'll go.
Joe's there. Yeah, he'll go.
Absolutely. So once again, we're seeing a reserve bench that it's reasonable to expect that the game pace will increase when they come in.
Yeah, and then Dino Waldron. Mm-hmm. And, I love Dino when he played at St. Mary's, and glad to see he's played over at Black Rock, and really hope he gets on with professional settings sooner or later.
I think so, and that's one thing. If you look at the age of our front rows, we got some guys in the upper 20s, but, overall, it takes years to get the arcs down. It takes years.
The average age of our starting forwards is 28.5, but the average age of our reserve forwards is actually 26.5. Mm-hmm. So you've got a 2-year difference there. That's pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. So looking at Canada, Benoit Pefero is on the bench at hooker. Anthony Luca from Burnaby Lake he's usually playing tight head. Matt Tierney from PAL plays in the Pro D2. He's at loosehead. Kyle Bailey, we saw Kyle Bailey for the Aviators last year. Now he's playing for West Shore up in Canada. Mm-hmm. Bailey was an anchor for Aviators. So when he comes on, he's something to be dealt with. Eric Carpenter. Now this is interesting. You got a man with 78 caps here, playing at substitute for 4 to 8. Aaron Carpenter has been around the block in a time or two, so when he comes out there in a field, he's definitely bringing a lot of experience in those last 30 to 20 minutes. So be interesting to see. Andrew Ferguson with the Ontario Blues coming out. He's only had 3 caps, so that he's kind of getting started. Yeah, Ferguson is definitely a scrum half. He's not an out half. And 5'9", 195. Nick Blevins, we saw him in Pro Rugby as well, but now he's playing with UBC OB Ravens. He'll be in the back line. And then Dan Moore with the Ontario Blues, bringing up the back 3 reserves. And it'd be interesting there because that's another big man in the back 3. So that is the rosters that we have for tomorrow, or for today now. Moving on, what's our next step? What are we going to talk about next, Jason?
So we need to talk about the key. We need to talk about the keys to victory.
The keys to win, yes. For the Eagles.
Yep. So for the win, so what do we need to do? We have 2 or 3 things. And what do you think?
Well, for me, I'm pretty sure that if the Eagles want to win, they're going to have to score early, score often, score support. When the Eagles score a lot, they win easily. When they don't get into the try zone often, it's hit or miss right there. They don't need to rely on their defense. We've already seen that that's not exactly what they want to rely on. When they're firing on all cylinders and they're hitting the gain line and beating it, when they're looking beyond the gain line, that's when they win. And then finally on defense, man, somebody has got to get out there and shut the door on DTH Vandermark. Got to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the man, he lifts his team. There's no doubt about that. But they got to get out there and shut the door.
I'd say on my end, kind of actually, it fits somewhere on along the lines of what you were mentioning. So if we want to shut down DTH, first thing we have to do is the 2 phases before the ball would get to him. We have to prevent We have to prevent meaningful gain line ball in the tight spaces.
Yes,
So
you said that before. You've talked about that before.
yes, it's very, very important. Very, very important. I think that when we give him space, he's going to be very dangerous. So how we control the breakdown on defense, positive tackling, they need to go backwards. They must go backwards. So we have, if that happens, that defense, shutting the door on their whole back line will be much more of a possibility. Also, the type of defense that we're looking to play, as I imagine from what I'm seeing, is high risk, high reward. We'll get more of the reward in those situations.
Yes,
but if we let them play on our side of the game line, we're going to have a long day.
No, because that swinging gate defense with the outside shoulder tackles, it just doesn't do well when you play on your side of the game line.
Mm-hmm. It's not. You can't. It's very tough to scramble from. You can't really.
So
You can't.
what else?
So now beyond that is we have to have at least 50-50 parity, and that includes penalties at the set pieces, specifically scrum time.
Agreed.
We have a reputation in World Rugby, and we don't really get calls. So that means we have to really, we really have to sack up and hold, not go backwards, don't go down. Really set ourselves to where we're showing that we have 50-50 parity, and this is with any team. Other than that, if the ref begins to start using the whistle, how are we adjusting? Because if we try to keep the same thing, coach said, it'll be a very long day.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I kind of fear with Clever being the captain is that depending on I don't know who the ref is right now, but depending on who it is, if it's Federico again, we might have a very long day.
Right, because it's how that's going to be adjudicated. It's a shame because I hate having to put the ref in play. You know how much it burns me up as a front row player that now I'm thinking about what the ref is going to do.
And White House didn't facilitate at all last week. He managed the game.
Right.
And when you're a chest level ref, you can't be managing the game. You have to facilitate each team's style of play, and he just wasn't doing that. He was inserting himself into the game, and it was very bad. So, and neither captain was doing well with him as that. So I'm hoping that White House is at touch judge this week, and we don't have to deal with him.
Yeah, and usually they rotate the guys. So I think that team that was assigned to this, we're getting somebody different. But once again, we got to get that. We have to.
So who do you think we need to watch this week?
Oh, man. So I think we got to watch the 9-10 pairing, whoever's in there. Because if we haven't had the continuity at breakdown time that we want, it's up to 9 and 10 to control how certain that channel is. It's very, very important. And the ball that's delivered will depend on how much time 12, 13, 14, and 11 will get. Or are we just going to have to kick, and then are we kicking from strong position where we can pressure, or are we kicking frantically to say, okay, I don't have any other options? And then kicking to Kieran Hearn with all of his experience in the wrong situations is not going to benefit us.
Exactly. My who to watch is Cam Damn Dolan.
Yes, sir.
Cam Dolan is due for a big game. It's been a while since he stepped up. Against Argentina and Houston a couple of years ago when he made that interception.
Oh yes, try time.
Pretty much made the draw happen. That was Argentina A for sure. But they're still playing upper level rugby, a little bit better than us. When Cam has a good game, we have a good game, and I think Cam Dolan is due for a big game. And if he decides today that he's going to go in there and make a difference, maximum effort.
No, absolutely. And we know we're going to get that from him. We'll always get that from him. He works. That man's work rate is fantastic.
But if he gets a couple of opportunities to make the breaks, then it's going to be lights out.
Absolutely. And I think he's going to make his presence felt. And then, of course, one thing that we can't forget, our outgoing captain. We need Captain America to be Captain America.
Yes, we do need Captain America to be Captain America on the day. He's got to be the very best that he's ever been on this day.
Right, and he has a chance to walk off and retire a hero.
So what are we going to watch for? We know who. What are we going to watch for? And I think we both have a symbiotic discussion here. So what do we watch?
So for us, specifically, I mentioned it before. how does the referee engage our breakdown competition, and what's being called, where do the whistles go, and how are we holding up? That's going to be very, very important. I think if we're going forward, if we're keeping settled, our 9 and 10 channel will be a lot more stable, and they will be able to do what they do a little bit better. I think Aj will be able to make those sniping runs that he's actually quite good at. I've been disappointed I haven't been able to see them because he hasn't had the space. And that's if the forwards don't create the space, it limits what he can do at 10. If he doesn't get the ball on time, 9 getting ragged ball from forwards, he just passes ragged ball to backs. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out in our favor.
That's correct. My watch marries off of that. It's how the Eagles react and adjust to the referee. They've got to react positively. They can't be on their heels thinking, oh, this guy's got it in for us.
Right.
They have to make adjustments immediately and then go forward and play that game that they know how to play that gets them over the game line.
Mm-hmm.
So next step in our program is Eagles lose if, Eagles win if.
Mm-hmm. All right, Eagles lose if we don't manage our set pieces.
I agree. Eagles lose if DTH Vandermeer has a big game.
I agree. We have to make him average.
Yes, we have to make. That's exactly what you have to make him. You have to make him average because he's not used to being that in Test rugby, especially in Tier 2 Test rugby. He's just not used to that. He knows what he can do. He knows how to make the breakdowns. If you get in there and you decide you're gonna isolate him and draw him, basically make him make the big mistakes that we need to score off of, then DTH Vandermeer has a bad game and we don't lose. So Eagles win if.
Eagles win if we sustain possession in attacking territory. That's something that we haven't done in many games.
No, we haven't. And sustaining possession is a big thing in attacking territory. It's just not something we're used to because we just don't, again, what you said from the 9 to 10 is important. Mm-hmm. We just don't get that kind of clean ball from 9 to 10 that we expect.
Right.
I think Eagles win if they contain the Canadian attack to the gain line, what you talked about, the positive tackles,
mm-hmm.
and they capitalize on the turnover ball immediately. If you looked at what happened in Hamilton last week, the two of our tries came from opportunities that were presented
mm-hmm.
to us. One when Brockie got under there. One when Savetta, when Savetta was given an offload to from a turnover ball.
Mm-hmm.
When
mm-hmm.
we capitalize on the turnover ball immediately, no hesitation, just drive forward and go, and everybody's right there on the hip of the driver. When that happens, we score, and so the Eagles win if they do that.
I'll take it a step further. When those situations happen, we have our trailers, they're engaged. Because one thing that's happened in the past, this happened against Ireland, this happened in Ontario, in Hamilton, where breaks happened and they died. Mm-hmm. Some after turnovers, where you have to be anticipating the opportunity to run.
That's right.
And get to the hip, get to the shoulder, screaming in our and giving them options. And that that's 9, that's 11, that's 7, that's 8. These are those players, the 10s. We have to make sure that we're ready and anticipating success. I think that's a big deal. One thing that's tough is when you play and you're kind of like surprised by success versus you're anticipating success and then you react to it.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say something here before we get into predictions, because I know by the time this goes and gets published, the players will be on a social media moratorium. Mitch won't let them be on their cell phones. They'll be concentrating on the game, so they won't have to hear this, which is important to me. World Rugby gives the America's One winner $400,000 to put towards their Rugby World Cup expenses. 400,000.
4 tickets.
4 tickets. So 4
oh, honey. Lord.
$400,000 to the American. The USA has never won America's One, and if we win it this year, this is a year we need to win this America's One. USA Rugby's in
balance sheets be damned.
They're in trouble financially. Everybody knows that. There's no secret there. That $400,000 goes a long way when it comes World Cup time. He gives us a lot of little leeway we don't have to worry about. and it also keeps us from having to play for the Americas too, or having to play from the repêchage, both of which would be more expensive,
Correct.
add more cost into it, and also make us have to play more tier 2 countries and take away those tier 1 playing opportunities, which we really need.
Correct. Completely agree. The stakes are high, and I can't imagine that these men don't know that.
That's something that the board and World Rugby don't really publish a lot. It's not something that a coach really wants to put on them, because that's not the kind of pressure you want to put on somebody.
Well, that specifically, no, but I'm saying the stakes in themselves.
The stakes
You have to feel this. Like
we talked about last week, we might be able to perform better in Pool A or Pool D, but we need to win.
Right.
And we need to win often, and we need to win
right.
more often than we have been. And it's very important. We haven't had a win yet this summer. We had a great ARC, but this summer we just haven't had it, and we need to win.
Right, and I think, and for what it's worth, I mean, I take winning. I will always take winning over losing in the sense of, in terms of its value. But then, in terms of the ARC, I always worry that gave us a bit of false confidence into where we were. I think that how the teams were positioned versus, like when we talk about Argentina and the ARC, versus the Argentina that plays in the Rugby Championship in the Southern Hemisphere, or the Argentina A's, it's a different side. And I think that we need to make sure that we're very clear on, yes, it was an accomplishment in that we won it. You beat who's in front of you, period. But we need to know that now, in terms of development, we need to move to another level. And that's what Ireland has told us. That's what this last match against Canada has told us. And looking at the rosters again, they've put some experience on this side that Canada knows they're going to raise their level. Are we going to meet it, and are we going to exceed it? That's going to be the question.
Yeah. So what's your predictions this week?
All right, so I'm calling U.S. by 5. That's what I said on our relievers one. I'm sticking with that. I see that it'll start out tight. There'll be some nerves. I think that scores will start opening up reasonably quickly. It'll be a bit of back and forth, but I'm seeing something maybe like a 25-20, 26-21 sort of setup. That's what I'm kind of envisioning. I think that Aj will take his penalty chances. I think that those are going to be on offer. I think that our pack decides they're going to have a day. And
I'm calling it a USA by 10.
Okay.
And I'm calling it by 10 because I think McGinty is going to have a better kicking day than we expect.
Mm-hmm.
If we make those decisions to kick for post more often than to kick for touch, and basically rely on his foot anytime we're inside of 40 meters on a penalty, then I think if we do that, then he's going to put a few more points up there. He'll skip past the gain line a couple of times, capitalize on those turnover balls, and I think we're on top. Canada's not going to be a pushover. I think we both know that, and it's going to be an exciting game, and I think we're both relishing the chance to watch this, because I think we understand what this means for our country.
Exactly. Nothing like watching meaningful rugby. Nothing like it. This isn't a friendly.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, this is not a friendly at all.
Excellent. So I think do we have anything else to cover?
No, tomorrow night we're going to get together and we're going to do a post-game show, and then you'll post that on Sunday, and we'll talk to people about what we saw and if we were right or wrong, and we'll go from there, right?
Absolutely, all day.
And so, hey, a little shout out here. I want to give a shout out on my side to Bruce Thomas at San Francisco Golden Gate, Terry Dolan, the father of Cam Dolan. Also want to talk to Gordon Hamlin. Gordon's is a director of rugby over in Portugal with the club. Man gave us some good feedback this week. And then Nick, I can't say Nick's last name at all because it's
Cap. Nick Cap. Yeah. Young Exiles kid.
Kinkin style. And I want want to say shout out to those guys for giving us some feedback on the show last week, helping us tweak it a little bit. And Victor
Absolutely.
Drover out of Milwaukee, same thing. What about on your side, Tosan? Anybody else give you some
I'm about to say, no, thank you overall. I think that anybody who shared, anybody who's commented, anybody who's complained, anybody, all of you, thank you very, very much. Especially my homie Nick, we go back for a while. Specifically, I think that all the feedback is good feedback. We can use it. Aaron Castro, thank you. Tony, thanks for checking it out. I call him the conscience of USA Rugby, the vocal conscience. Tony Ridnell. Yeah. He'll keep you honest.
Definitely making some waves there.
Absolutely. And a voice I trust and value, an opinion I value. Thank you very much. And thanks for the encouragement. I mean, people have been very encouraging. Jack Clark, those guys. Everybody's like, let's do these things. They want to see these things. Jeremy Treese up in New England, thank you. I want to make sure.
Castro.
Yep.
Out there and engaged as well. He's down in San Diego this week getting ready to broadcast the Eagles in Canada.
Yep.
So he'll be in the broadcast van handling some of the duties there of the production.
Yep. Great, and these are great things. It's exciting times to be able to have these discussions. Yes. I think that's it. And hopefully this show is going to help North America get more engaged with what's going on, getting more engaged with one another. I think these are important things. Other than that, I think that we are done with the pregame. All right, we got go Eagles. Let's go for broke. Let's get it all done. I know you guys aren't going to see this till later, but know that at least the two of us, these two props, are pushing for you. And we want to see it. The streets are watching. We want to see this. Don't make me put these boots back on. Let's see this. I still got my Nike boots.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, well, this is Grant Cole with This is Texas Rugby signing off the Propcast tonight.
All right. And I'm about to say amen to the rugby evangelist. See you guys in cyberspace. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.